It is the DVE Morning Show. Randy's got the day off. I'm Scott Paulson. Hi, how are you? How's it going? Good, good. Glad to hear it. So it's show and tell time. You ever wonder why albums, like record albums, are called albums when they don't have anything to do with an album? I've thought this many times as I was taking all the seeds out of my pot on a double album, rolling it back and forth. Why is this called an album? Tell me, man. Why? I don't know. I found out recently. Record albums are called albums because they used to be albums. Back when records were just single songs, double songs, one on one side, one on the other, and they were 78 RPM. They looked like this. Here's my show and tell.
Oh, yeah.
I have some of those.
Record, do you?
Yeah,
Here, pass that around. This is your Tuxedo Junction on Bluebird by Glenn Miller and the orchestra. And when you had a couple of these, or several, you got an album that looks like a old-time photo album, but it's a record album. See, it says record album. And you put them in the album, so that's where you kept them. Well, as Val said, she's got a couple of these at home, and I'm sure many people, grandma, grandpa, have these around somewhere, these 78s. Realize is that, like anything, if they were made in small numbers, they're worth money. If you watch Pawn Stars or you watch any of those shows,
American Pickers,
you'll know that, yeah, there's a zillion things that aren't worth a dime, but every once in a while, something pops up that's worth a lot of money. Now, I love records, and if you love records, you should celebrate that fact by going today, immediately, to Squirrel Hill and go to Jerry's, because that's like the mecca of records in this town. They have some really great stuff. You walk out of there with something that you like. But every once in a while, at a record store like Jerry's, somebody will come in with a box of old records and they'll go, I don't want these anymore. What do you give me for them? And Jerry and Willie will come up with a price. Well, they came up with a price, I guess, a while back of $50. Somebody came up with a box of 78s. They said, all right, we'll give you $50 for it. And as they're leafing through these boxes of what they think will probably be crap, they came across a record that was worth a lot to record collectors. One such record collector is a guy named Robert Crumb. You may have heard of Robert Crumb. He was an underground cartoonist back in the 60s and 70s, and now he's a full-fledged, full-blown collectible artist. Well, Robert Crumb lives in France because he's a billionaire. And Robert Crumb gets a hold of the guys at Jerry's and says, I heard you got this record. You got this record? Yeah, we got that record. Tell you what, I'll make you a trade. And he creates an original piece of artwork to trade these guys for this record. That's how much the record's worth. Jerry and Willie join us now. Of course, we want to talk about this deal and about the Robert Johnson record from a couple of weeks or a couple months back. But welcome to the show, boys. I appreciate you being there. I appreciate you having the store. Many people in Pittsburgh have been frequenting your stores for years, and we love it. But tell me the story of Robert Crumb, first off.
Well, Robert Crumb, we have a mutual friend of his. This is Jerry talking.
Good.
We have a mutual friend of his. In fact, it's the only guy he talks to in the States. He's a real reclusive.
He's the only guy, not record guy, only guy he talks to in the whole country. This guy's, and I'm a fan of Robert Crumb, but honestly, he's nuts. So anyway, go ahead.
He's out of his mind.
Out of his mind.
He was here in 2004. He went out in the hall. All I got out of him was like a nod, 3 grunts. And what do you want for these? I mean,
he hates people. He hates people.
Cooper's a blabbermouth. But we found out through a mutual friend that he didn't have this record, and my son Willie got in touch with him, and I'll put him on for a minute. Yeah, how you doing?
Morning.
Good.
Tell him about Crumb on the email.
Well, yeah, well, Crumb, he emailed me and he said that, I'll trade you this record, or the drawing of you guys for this record, and, I was excited,
Now, keep in mind, too, for folks that don't know about Robert Crumb, Robert Crumb traded 2 small sketchbooks of drawings for a villa in France.
Yeah.
All right? That's what his drawings are worth. So we're talking about some big money here.
That's right.
So tell me, first off, what money value, Whistling Willie, what's that worth? Your copy of it, which is in really great, or was in really great shape.
I think personally it's worth, maybe $700 or $1,000.
No, it's worth more than that.
But probably worth more than that.
Well, you guys work it out.
I'm Jerry.
Now, how about Dust My Broom, Robert Johnson? Because I know that's worth a lot, right?
Well, that's worth $3,000 to $5,000, but the Robert Crumb drawing is actually worth $5,000 to $10,000. I did a little research.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it's
so you took
him
him basically.
Us, so we're never, ever going to sell it. I mean, we're going to make a T-shirt because everybody wants.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you have the licensing for it and all that? You can do that.
He didn't say nothing about not doing it, so we're going to do it. If we get sued, too bad. Everybody
mess with this. You don't want to be messing with Robert Crumb, man. Robert Crumb, he looks like a really scary guy.
Much, so I ain't afraid of him.
All right, so you got a whole. You have way too many records. Okay, it's obvious. That's why you opened a store. You had too many records.
Well,
I'm guessing.
I've accumulated. It took me almost 40. I'm closing in on 40 years of this. I'm the old guy anymore, and I've accumulated over about $2.5 million. Now I got to try to get rid of about $1.5 million of them. I don't want to die with all these records.
$2.5 million.
Yeah,
that's really too many records, dude. Have you listened to every record?
Pardon me?
Have you listened to every record?
No, not some of them, but I bet you I've listened to 1 million records in my life. I listen to records 8-9 hours a day here at the store.
Well, yeah, sure.
And then when people actually say to me, "What do you listen to when you go home?" I give them a funny look and I say, "Hey, I watch basketball, hockey, football. I watch old movies. I watch new movies.
I'm a mechanic. You think I work on a car when I get home?" Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to work on a car when I get home.
All right, so let me ask you a simple question. What's the most valuable record in your personal collection? Not the store, because I know you're not going to sell your most valuable record. What's your most valuable record and why?
Oh, it's probably just another. Blues is the most valuable stuff.
Blues from like when, the 30s?
I don't have the Beatles. It's probably a blues album. It's probably worth $1,000. But I don't collect the Beatles. None of these Butcher covers. All this stuff you hear about.
Right.
It's probably like a real rare album though, not a '78. And it's probably worth $1,000 because it was only like 200 of them printed up or something.
And how often do you have people bring you a box of records and say, "How much you give me for this?" Is that pretty much an everyday occurrence?
Yeah, it pretty much is. But to find these two in a short period of time, the Robert Johnson and the Bogus Ben Covington, to find them two in a short period of time, and we also got a Brian Lemon Jefferson in there. You might have heard of him.
Yeah.
He was a truly famous guy. That's unreal.
And even if I haven't, I'm going to say I did, because that just sounds cool, if you know what that is.
He was a great original blind blues singer. But to find three in a period of 4 or 5 months, that's like, honestly, that's like hitting the lottery for guys like me and Willie.
Do people always think that they've got really valuable stuff when they don't?
They do, because now I'll tell you what happens. Every time I get wrote up in the paper or something, I get about 40 calls, and nobody wants to buy anything. They all want to sell me records. I've got a whole bunch in my garage. Yeah, you got a whole bunch of Bing Crosby and Andrews Sisters.
Right. Stuff that sold zillions of copies, and yeah.
But, and one thing, everybody thinks if they have a Caruso record, from the 20s, it's worth a fortune. Well, he was the Elvis of his day.
Right.
He sold 20 million records. So everybody's grandma, like you said, everybody's grandma, grandpa, aunt, they're sitting around their houses in the cedar chests, that kind of stuff.
Great to talk to you guys. Continued success. It was good to see you in the paper again. When are you going to have the T-shirts printed up? Because I'm going to get one.
You're going to get one for free, by the way. Anyhow,
nothing's for free in this life.
Up within 2 or 3 weeks.
All right, great to talk to you guys. Thanks for being on with us.
Send you one.
Got to check out. You got to check out Jerry's. If you're a record guy at all, you've already been there. I shouldn't even tell you if you're a record guy. So if you're not, you should try it someday. If you're into the flea market thing, you're into old crap that other people are selling. That's a great place to find a bunch of old crap that people are selling. It's a lot of fun. And this week they happened upon another treasure.
Gold.
Yeah. Everybody always thinks that they have the greatest old crap in the world, and then you find out later on it's not worth anything. You curse your grandparents.
But what about that guy that got $50 for the box?
Yes.
He's burned.
I bet he's happy right now. Bet he's happy. Here's a bunch of people who are happy. Listen to this.
7 seconds to go.